The Young and the Restless spoilers Wednesday, September 17th. Kane's Jill condition, Jack warns Nikki, Billy's big dilemma. The Young and the Restless spoilers are in for Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Fans can expect Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, to ask Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, to make things right with Jill Abbott, Jess Walton. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, issues a warning to Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Make sure to check out our weekly YNR spoilers here. Kane Ashby's special request. Let's start off with Kane, who isn't going to give Billy much more time to make a decision. The tycoon knows how Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, feels, but is hoping that Billy takes the deal anyway. Kane needs Billy to say yes for the long-term plan to work. Unfortunately for Billy, it seems that he's making all the wrong moves. Kane will meet with Billy and issue a special request. That will be for Billy to smooth things over with his mother, Jill. Could that mean a return for Jill coming up? Billy Abbott's big dilemma. For Billy, he is already reeling from Sally walking out of their business partnership and possibly relationship as well. Billy doesn't know which way to turn until he knows if Sally is truly gone or not. Since Sally said she didn't know yet, Kane will put some pressure on Billy. Kane is big on terms and conditions. So, if Billy truly wants what was promised, then he might have to make nice with Jill. Victor Newman's multitasking. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, September 17th reveal that Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, will use multitasking while taking down his rivals. The man likely has several fires burning. So, let's see what his next move is. At some point, Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, might be summoned to perform a task for her father. With Jack coming to her for help, that could put both Victoria and Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, in a moral dilemma. Nikki Newman warned. As for Jack, he will issue a warning to Nikki. The Abbott patriarch will explain Billy's 180, Victor's determination as well as Kane's plotting. With all this going on at once, Nikki will know that some chaos is up ahead, and her family is right in the center of it. Later, Nikki could push Victor for information. However, he likes to hide his cards, even from those he trusts the most. Nikki could have a bad feeling, but it seems that Victor might be determined to do things his way anyway, so stay tuned. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025? The midweek drama in Genoa City was heating up, and Wednesday's episode promised more emotional confrontations, surprising alliances, and heart-wrenching decisions. At the center of it all was Kane Ashby, whose latest predicament forced Jill Abbott to lay down a condition that could change everything for him. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott was feeling the weight of history as he crossed paths with Nikki Newman, and this time, his warning carried a sharp edge. And Billy Abbott? He was staring down a decision so personal and so risky that even he wasn't sure which way he would turn. Kane faces Jill's ultimatum. Kane had been walking a fine line for months, trying to rebuild his life, his reputation, and his place in the family. But Jill, as much as she loved her son, wasn't one to hand out second chances freely. Not after the damage he had done to Chancellor Winters and the rifts he'd caused among those closest to him. On Wednesday, Jill called Kane into the Chancellor estate for what looked like a routine catch-up. Instead, Kane found himself face-to-face with an ultimatum. Jill's expression was warm at first, her tone calm, but there was no mistaking the seriousness in her voice. "Kane," Jill said, leaning back in her chair, "I love you, and I want you to succeed. But I can't sit by and watch you sabotage yourself, or this family, anymore." Kane's heart sank. He knew where this was going. "What are you saying, Mum?" he asked cautiously. "I'm saying," Jill replied, "if you want my support, financial, emotional, all of it, you need to step away from anything that looks like a gamble. No shady deals, no shortcuts, no cutting corners. You want a future here? Then you rebuild it honestly. Or I cut you off completely." Kane was silent for a long beat, weighing his mother's words. This wasn't just about money. This was about Jill's trust, about being welcomed back into the fold. For a man who had spent years trying to prove he was more than his mistakes, it was a pivotal to Nikki. Across town, Jack Abbott was taking a walk through the park when he spotted Nikki Newman sitting alone on a bench, lost in thought. At first, he hesitated. Their history was complicated, and he knew that Nikki's life had been nothing short of turbulent lately. But something in her posture told him she needed to hear what he had to say. "Nikki," Jack said gently as he approached, "I hope you don't mind me stopping by." Nikki looked up, giving him a faint smile. "Jack, I was just clearing my head." They exchanged pleasantries for a moment before Jack got to the point. He had seen the renewed closeness between Victor and certain members of the Newman family, and he was worried. "Nikki," he said, his tone suddenly serious, "I know you love Victor. I know you always will. But I've been watching what's happening, the way he's pulling everyone into his orbit again, and I can't shake the feeling that it's going to end badly for you." Nikki bristled at first, defensive of her husband, but Jack pressed on. "I've been in that war zone before, Nikki. I've seen what it does to people. You have fought so hard to stay strong, to keep your sobriety intact. Don't let anyone, even Victor, put you in a position where you risk losing that." The warning hit home. Nikki didn't reply right away, but her expression softened. Deep down, she knew Jack was right. The constant Newman infighting, Victor's ruthless scheming, it took a toll on her. And Jack's concern wasn't romantic meddling this time. It was genuine friendship. Billy's big dilemma. While Kane and Jack were wrestling with their own emotional moments, Billy Abbott was at society, sitting at the bar, staring into a glass of bourbon he hadn't touched. Lily Winters slid onto the stool beside him, sensing something was wrong. "Talk to me," she said softly. Billy sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I'm at a crossroads, Lil. And I honestly don't know which road is the right one." The dilemma he spoke of had been brewing for weeks. On one side was the family business, Jabot, and his responsibility to stand with Jack against Tucker McCall's latest maneuverings. On the other side was his growing desire to break free from the cycle of corporate battles and find meaning outside the boardroom. "I want to be there for Jack," Billy said. "But every time I get pulled back into this fight, I feel like I lose a piece of myself. And then there's Chelsea, the kids. I can't keep putting them through this roller coaster." Lily listened quietly, not judging, not advising, just letting him process. It was one of the things Billy loved about her. But the weight of the choice was still heavy on his shoulders. If he stepped back, he risked leaving Jabot vulnerable. If he stayed, he risked losing the fragile peace he had built in his personal life. Intersecting paths. What made Wednesday's episode so compelling was how these three storylines seemed to echo each other. Kane was being forced to decide what kind of man he wanted to be. Jack was urging Nikki to protect her peace before she was pulled back into destructive patterns. And Billy was torn between duty and the desire to live authentically. In a way, each character was standing at a metaphorical crossroads, being asked to choose between the past and the future. The emotional resonance was unmistakable, and it left viewers wondering whether any of them would make the choice that truly set them free. Cliffhangers and what comes next. By the end of the episode, Kane had not yet answered Jill's ultimatum. His thoughtful silence suggested that he was considering her words more seriously than he ever had before. Nikki left the park visibly shaken but also grateful for Jack's warning. Whether she would confront Victor or quietly begin to set boundaries remained to be seen. And Billy? He left society without touching his drink, a sign that perhaps he was taking a step in the right direction, at least when it came to his sobriety and his clarity of mind. But the bigger decision about Jabot was still looming. This Wednesday's drama was a reminder that in Genoa City, the biggest battles aren't always about corporate takeovers or shocking betrayals. Sometimes they are about facing the person in the mirror and deciding who you want to be when the dust settles.